Hey everyone, and welcome back. You know how we do things here, right? One of our listeners deep dives into a topic, uses some cool tools and resources, and then we follow that same path to uncover some fascinating insights.
Yeah, it's like a collaborative exploration.
Exactly. And today we're tackling a phrase that's both intriguing and a bit mysterious: treasures of darkness.
Ooh, that's a good one. Where's that from?
It comes from the Bible, Isaiah 45:3. And our listener has been using AI tools and commentaries to try to unlock its meaning.
Okay, so right off the bat, we've got ancient texts, cutting-edge technology, and some serious biblical scholarship. I love it.
Yeah.
So what was our listener's initial approach?
Well, they started with AI to get a broad understanding of the passage.
Smart move. AI can be great for that initial overview, but then you need something more.
Right, exactly. That's where the commentaries came in. They provided a deeper, more nuanced perspective.
It's a perfect example of how those two approaches can work together,
Ooh.
complementing each other, like a dynamic duo of discovery.
Ah, I like that. But it still leaves us with some big questions, like what are these treasures of darkness? Are we talking literal riches, spiritual insights, something else entirely?
Good questions. And to complicate matters, God is promising these treasures to King Cyrus.
King Cyrus, remind me who he was again.
Oh, he was a major figure in ancient history, a non-Jewish king who conquered vast empires, including Babylon, which was a really big deal
Why was that so significant?
because it allowed the Jewish people to return to their homeland after being exiled in Babylon.
Right. I remember learning about that. It was a pivotal moment in Jewish history. And to think Isaiah actually prophesied Cyrus's rise over 150 years before it happened.
Yeah, talk about predicting the future. It's a pretty remarkable testament to the idea of divine providence, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. So how does this all tie back to the treasures of darkness? What did the AI initially tell our listener about those?
Well, it pointed to a pretty straightforward interpretation. Hidden riches and resources that Cyrus would find during his conquests, essentially, spoils of war.
Yeah. Okay, so kind of like a victor claiming the spoils.
Yeah, precisely. And it makes sense given the historical context. Hidden treasures were a pretty common thing back then.
Were they really? I mean, like, where would they even hide all this stuff?
Oh, they were quite resourceful. Underground vaults, hidden chambers, you name it. They had all sorts of clever ways to stash away their riches. Think of Babylon, for instance.
Babylon. That was like the city of wealth and luxury, right?
Exactly. Legendary for its opulence. And when Cyrus conquered it, he would have gained access to all its treasures. It's like something straight out of an Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, yeah, those hidden temples filled with gold and jewels. I can totally picture it. But our listener wasn't quite satisfied with just the literal interpretation, were they?
They sensed there was more to uncover. So they asked the AI about a spiritual interpretation.
Interesting. And what did it say?
Well, the AI suggested that treasures of darkness could also symbolize spiritual wisdom and inspiration. Those profound truths that are often hidden from plain sight.
Right, like they require effort to discover.
Exactly. It's like mining for precious gems. You have to dig deep, face risks and challenges to extract those treasures from the earth. And finding spiritual insights is a similar process. It demands dedication, faith, and a willingness to delve into those hidden places within ourselves.
I like that analogy. So we're talking about two very different types of treasures here: material wealth versus spiritual enlightenment. But why would God promise either of these to King Cyrus, a non-believer? It seems a bit counterintuitive, doesn't it?
Well, remember, Cyrus plays a pivotal role in God's plan. He's the instrument chosen to liberate the Israelites from captivity, to allow them to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. So even though he may not personally worship the God of Israel, his actions ultimately serve a divine purpose.
It's like God is working through Cyrus to accomplish his goals, even though Cyrus might not fully understand the significance of his own actions. Pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. And it brings up another fascinating point that our listener raised. What if the treasures of darkness actually represent the spoils of war themselves? A king exerting his dominance over multiple nations and claiming their riches.
That's an interesting take. Kind of a bold statement, isn't it? But it does make sense in the historical context.
Oh, absolutely. The passage in Isaiah does specifically mention treasures of darkness and riches stored in secret places. And it's not unusual for conquering kings to claim the spoils of war, especially someone like Cyrus, who had such vast conquests.
Our listener even brought up the lyrics from that classic Edwin Starr song, war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Which, it's a stark reminder that even if there are material gains from war, the human cost is immeasurable. We can't forget that.
Absolutely. War always leaves a trail of devastation. Families are torn apart, communities are shattered, and those wounds can take generations to heal.
So, while the spoils of war might be one interpretation of treasures of darkness, it's important to acknowledge the devastating consequences that inevitably accompany conflict. But then our listeners' deep dive takes a fascinating turn. They start to focus on community.
Community. How does that fit in with treasures of darkness?
Well, they were particularly interested in the kind of community that emerges in the aftermath of hardship. You know, when people have faced unimaginable loss and suffering.
Right, like those who have endured a war or a natural disaster.
Exactly. And our listener proposed that maybe the true treasures of darkness are found in that sense of togetherness, in the emergence of kindred spirits who unite in the face of adversity.
That's a really profound observation, to see that even in the darkest of times, there can be this incredible strength and resilience born from shared experience. It's like when communities come together to support each other, rebuild their lives, and find solace in a shared purpose.
And they even brought up the Beatles' classic, All You Need Is Love, hinting at love as the foundation for this kind of unity and resilience. It's a powerful idea, isn't it?
It really is. To think that love can be the driving force behind rebuilding shattered lives, forging bonds that are stronger than any hardship.
So we've journeyed from literal treasures and spoils of war to spiritual insights, and now to this powerful idea of community as a treasure that emerges from adversity. It's amazing how this one phrase has revealed so many layers of meaning.
It really speaks to the richness and depth of ancient texts. Each layer we peel back reveals new insights and invites us to think about the multifaceted nature of human experience. What strikes me about our listeners' focus on community is how they use the word remnant.
Remnant.
Yeah, like a small group, a fragment of what was almost like survivors clinging to each other after a storm, bound together by necessity.
It's a powerful image, isn't it? It highlights how true community often forms not out of shared interests, convenience, but out of a deep-seated need for connection and support, especially when we're facing those difficult times.
Exactly. It's about recognizing our shared humanity, our vulnerability, our reliance on one another for survival, not just physically, but emotionally too.
It makes you wonder, what are the storms we face in our own lives? And who are those people we turn to for support during those times? Who are those kindred spirits that help us navigate the darkness?
It challenges us to look beyond just our own individual experiences, to recognize that shared human experience that connects us all. And remember, we don't have to weather those storms alone.
So how do we cultivate these treasures of darkness in our own lives? How do we foster those communities of support and resilience, especially in a world that often feels so divided?
It's a challenge, for sure, but I don't think it's insurmountable. Remember what we discussed earlier about shared values, mutual support, open communication, collaboration, and inclusivity. Those are all essential elements in building strong, resilient communities.
And our listener's reference to all you need is love suggests that maybe love is the key ingredient, the foundation upon which we can build something truly meaningful.
Love is a powerful force, there's no doubt about that. It has the capacity to bridge divides, heal wounds, and inspire action. But remember, it's not merely a passive emotion, it's an active choice, a commitment to being there for one another, especially when it's difficult.
So it's not just about expressing love verbally, but putting those words into action through tangible acts of kindness, compassion, and support, especially towards those who may be different from us or hold different beliefs.
Precisely. It's about expanding that circle of love beyond just our immediate family and friends, to embrace our wider community, our nation, and even the world at large. It's about recognizing that shared humanity and working together to create a more just, equitable, and compassionate world.
And this brings us back to King Cyrus and his surprising role in God's plan. Even though he wasn't a believer in the God of Israel, he still played a crucial role in liberating the Israelites, enabling them to return home and rebuild their community. It's as if God can work through anyone, even those who seem unlikely, to fulfill his purposes.
It's a powerful reminder that we don't need to have all the answers or possess perfect faith to be instruments of good in the world. Sometimes it's as simple as just showing up, being present, and offering support to those in need.
And maybe that's the most profound treasure of darkness of all, the realization that each of us, regardless of our background or beliefs, has the potential to make a difference, to be a source of light and hope in a world that can often feel dark and hopeless.
It's a truly inspiring thought, isn't it? Even in the darkest of times, even amidst war and devastation, we can discover those flickers of hope, Those hidden treasures that remind us of our shared humanity and our capacity for love and resilience.
It's like those treasures aren't something we stumble upon out in the world, but something we cultivate within ourselves and our communities. A conscious choice to embrace love over fear, connection over isolation, hope over despair.
And recognizing that those choices, those acts of love and kindness, no matter how small they may seem, can have a ripple effect, sparking a wave of positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
As we delve deeper into these treasures of darkness, I'm struck by how many different interpretations we've uncovered. From ancient prophecies and hidden riches to the profound strength of human connection and the enduring resilience of the human spirit. It's been an incredible journey.
It really has, and I think this journey extends far beyond our conversation today. It's an ongoing exploration, both inward and outward, as we strive to uncover those hidden treasures in our own lives and the world around us.
And that's maybe the most important takeaway from all of this. The invitation to keep searching, keep exploring, keep digging for those treasures of darkness that remind us of who we are, what we're capable of, and the beauty that can emerge from even the darkest of times.
And to our listener who sparked this whole fascinating exploration, thank you for sharing your curiosity, your insights. It has been a pleasure diving deep with you.
And to all our listeners, we leave you with this final thought. What treasures of darkness might you be overlooking in your own life? What hidden sources of strength and resilience are waiting to be discovered in your own experiences and communities? Keep seeking, keep exploring, and above all, keep believing in the power of human connection to illuminate even the darkest corners of our world. It's fascinating, isn't it? How this exploration has brought us to a deeper understanding of not just treasures of darkness, but also the power of community and the resilience of the human spirit.
It really underscores how much we can learn from each other's perspectives and how these ancient texts can still speak to us in such profound ways even today.
You know what really struck me? The idea that these treasures of darkness aren't something we just find out there in the world.
Yeah, they're not just lying around waiting to be discovered.
Exactly. It's more about cultivating them within ourselves and our communities, like those shared values and that mutual support we were talking about earlier.
And that open communication, being willing to listen to each other, to understand different perspectives.
It's a choice we make, isn't it, to embrace those things, to nurture those connections, especially when things get tough.
It's like choosing love over fear, connection over isolation, hope over despair.
It makes me think of those beautiful Japanese kintsugi pottery pieces where they repair the cracks with gold.
Kintsugi.
Yeah, it's an art form where they highlight the brokenness as part of the object's history and beauty.
Oh, wow, I see what you mean. It's not about erasing the past or pretending that the hardship didn't happen.
Exactly. It's about acknowledging those experiences, learning from them, and using them to build something even stronger and more beautiful, like forging those bonds of community that can help us weather any storm.
It's a powerful reminder that our own brokenness, those shared experiences of hardship, can actually become a source of connection and strength.
So to our listener who inspired this whole deep dive, thank you for sharing your curiosity and your insightful reflections. It's been a privilege exploring this with you.
Yes, thank you. And to everyone listening, what treasures of darkness might you be overlooking in your own life? What hidden sources of strength and resilience are waiting to be uncovered in your own experiences?
Keep seeking, keep exploring, and most importantly, keep believing in the power of human connection to bring light to even the darkest corners of our world.